Hi guys, Casey here from Stand Proud Canine Training, and we're going to be introducing Sky to the E-collar for the first time. So we've already found her working level, so it varies between a 4 and a 5, just depending, or a 4.5 if you can manage to move the dial that way. So when we're looking for the working level, we want it to be the level that they can feel, but it's not super high that it's uncomfortable or that makes them worried, but we don't want it so low that they can just kind of ignore it and blow it off. So we looked for any sort of either a head shake or an ear twitch, looking at the ground, sniffing at the ground, like what the heck was that? But we also don't want it to be so high that she's jumping or she's running or she's vocalizing or anything like that. So she kind of figured out this game really quick on the leash. So we're gonna be using her food as a distraction. So I'm gonna be putting some food on the ground. I'm gonna let her eat it. Anytime that you see me raise my hand like this, I'm pressing and holding the red button. And anytime that you see me you hear me say good or good girl or any mix of those words, that's what I'm letting go of the button. And what I'm looking for her is the engagement. So I want her to turn and actually make a commitment to coming back to me. So if she's looking somewhere else and I'm kind of using that leash pressure to help her out and her head is still turned towards the distraction, then that's not really going to count, because at that point I'm doing all the work with the leash. I want her to figure out, oh, okay, I feel this weird sensation, how do I turn it off? Oh, I turn and I go towards the human. So we're going to be using a little bit of her food. There's quite a few dogs and stuff barking out here, so we might get enough of a distraction, but if not, always using your dog's food on, pavement like this is always easiest. If you go for grass, it might be a little bit too distracting at first, but give it a shot, see what works for you and your dog. Come on. Use a little bit of the food. I'm only using like 3 or 4 pieces, nothing too big. Finish it. You missed one. Yes, good girl. Now, if she offers me that sit in front, then I'll reward her for it. I'm not being too picky about that. I just want her to know how to communicate with this, how to turn it off. That's the biggest thing that I want to get from the first lesson, is just making sure that she does understand what the sensation means. Hi, let's go. Good girl, there you go. Good job. Yes. Good girl. Alright, so we'll see if she can get distracted without the food. She's too smart. We figured out this game a long time ago. Good girl. Very good. Yes, good job. Good job. Go. You'll also notice that I'm not using a huge long leash. I think this one's just about 8 feet or so. So right now, since we're just introducing her to it, I'm not going to be using a 50-foot leash right now until she starts really understanding what this means, how to turn it off, knowing that coming to me is what makes the sensation come off. Then I might start adding more distractions and a little bit more leash. But at this point, we're taking baby steps and just using an 8-foot leash. You can use a 6-foot leash as well. Good girl. Very good. Good job. Good girl. That's very good. Another thing you'll notice is I'm not actually using the recall word. I'm not saying come, I'm not saying here, I'm not saying anything like that quite yet. Reason being is, again, I'm going to sound like a broken record. I want her to understand what this means. And I want to make sure myself that she's actually responding to this and not just my words. So it's really great that she'll know what that recall means just verbal, but for right now I want her to understand how to communicate with this. So how to turn it off, what does it mean? Is if she's not feeling it and she's just recalling to the word and then suddenly she feels this, I don't want her to be confused. Once she starts understanding it and I'm not using any leash pressure at all, then I might start adding the recall word plus a little bit of leash pressure just to help her out. Girl. Good. Very nice. I got it. Girl. As I'm doing this, I'm trying to use less and less leash pressure to see if she's truly understanding what the stim means and to make sure that she's actually feeling it. Good job. There you go. That was very good. It was very good. So almost no leash pressure there. That was all with the remote. So that was really, really good. There's a good girl. Very good. That was very good. Very nice. So we'll keep doing repetitions like this until we're mostly using just the remote. Then I'm going to start adding the word. And then we'll start adding some more distractions. But don't feel in a rush to do this kind of stuff. Take it in steps. We might do another lesson later today with her, another session just on the recall with the Ecollar. And then at that point start using less and less leash. And then once we start doing that, then we'll start adding leash pressure to place, sit, down. So same way that we've been using the leash pressure for the down, that little pulley system, same way we've been using the sit, the pressure up, then we'll just layer the e-collar on top of that. So eventually when she feels pressure from the e-collar, it's already clicked with her that, oh, okay, the word plus this means I have to do X, Y, or Z. Good job. There you go. Good girl. Very good. Alright, so she was a 5 at that point. She kind of shook her head a little bit, so I'm going to lower it back down to like a 4, a 3, depending. And we'll work from there. So I can't emphasize it enough. I think I already said that. But don't get married to a number. So she might be working at a 3 or a 4 at one point. She might be working at a 6 or a 7 at another point. So match the level of the distraction to the level on the e-collar. We'll do one more rep here, and then we'll call it a good session for right now. There you go. Very good. Very good. All right, let's go. Good girl. All right, guys. So we'll have this be like a part 1 to this. So we've already introduced her to the e-collar. We found her working level. We introduced her to the pressure with the leash, using the leash on top of the e-collar pressure. And then we started using less and less leash, and so relying solely on the remote. And like I mentioned, she wasn't super distracted out here. Your dog might be, your dog might not. So you can also use the food like I was, or something else that might be interesting for them. Really important though, don't use a super distracting distraction. Use something that is just enough to kind of get their attention, but not so much that you're going to completely have them tune out on you. So I'm not going to be taking out like a rawhide or making something super interesting, because what you're going to find is a much higher working level when you first start, and then when you go back to something much lower distraction, so like their kibble, then you notice, okay, now they might vocalize, they might shake their head at the same level that you were using before. So you're going to have to check with the levels and see what's going to work best for your dog. You might have it really low at some points, a little bit higher at other points, so match and see what's going to work best for you. All right guys, thanks for watching, and we'll keep you updated on the next video. Thanks.